Hello, and thank you for visiting Graphene Business Law. My name is Pam Matani, and I'm the founder and principal lawyer here at Graphene. If you're new to our channel, go ahead and click on the red subscribe button down below. We regularly post content here at Graphene that is most relevant to business owners and entrepreneurs. We do also have a series focused on students and questions that law students may have in law school, but of course our primary clientele is that of business owners and entrepreneurs. And of course, as a disclaimer or FYI, Graphene Business Law is able to provide legal services in the province of Ontario. That's where these videos are filmed, that's the jurisdiction of our firm, and that's where we're able to help our clients within the province of Ontario. That doesn't mean that some of the information shared in these videos might not be helpful to persons all around Canada or America, wherever you might be from, but when it comes to helping clients, again, we're licensed to practice law in Ontario. Now, today's topic is one that was recently brought to my attention. I had an inquiry come my way as regards limitations periods. And for those that are unfamiliar with that concept, a limitation period, the gist of it is that timeline within which you can sue somebody for something that you believe they've done, for something that for having wronged you, for what you believe is a wrong act in the sense of business. Maybe funds have been misappropriated, or a vendor hasn't delivered the product, or a product in the way, or a good in the way you've contracted for. There can be so many reasons that unfortunately things can go awry in the business setting, and it's important to know that that window within which you can pursue your legal rights if you feel you've been wronged is not forever. That's actually one of the biggest that can be one of the biggest surprises for persons looking to sue somebody. Life gets busy, you put things off today, next week, a month from now, but it's not too many years from now that you can put pursuing legal action off for, because the basic limitations period in Ontario at least is 2 years from when you believe the wrongful act has been committed. Now, of course, this is a business law firm, a business law channel, and it's important to tie in why limitations period matter, why this video is being filmed in the first place. Business falling within the civil realm of law. Of course, there's white collar crime and matters of that nature, but when it comes to what you're more likely to find yourself in is somebody that's looking to start their business or grow their business or even conclude their business in the bankruptcy setting. Those are all, or in the selling and mergers and acquisition setting, those are all in the context of civil. Those are not criminal areas of law. And all areas of civil law have limitations period that apply to them. They may differ depending on the specific area, but all of them are affected by the Limitations Act of Ontario. And business law, falling within that ambit of civil practice, is no exception. So that's the tie-in with limitations period and having your wanting to pursue an action that you believe pertains to your business, or even you as a business person. Limitations periods can vary. For some areas of law, for some wrongful acts, they're up to 15 years. And even within the 2 years, actually, it's interesting, but there's a few undertones to that as well. As far as, this video is filmed for informational purposes and not legal advice. You should always seek a lawyer when you want that legal advice. And of course, that's what we're here to help you with at Graphene, being your legal support in times of business, in times of your business need. However, as far as information goes, it can be helpful to know that as per the Limitations Act, it's not necessarily 2 years from when the wrongful act, from when you were wronged, even if you don't know you were wrong. Sometimes it takes a while to figure out that somebody, has conducted themselves in a manner that was harmful to your business or even egregious. It can take some time for that dust to settle. And that's why we have a concept referred to as discoverability, which, as the name indicates, that clock can start also from the time when you found out something wrong, something bad had been committed. When you found out that somebody had not performed their end of the contract, or something more specifically financial, money had been stolen, misappropriated, as I mentioned. Whatever the case may be, whatever the wrong you're pursuing, that discoverability principle within the Limitations Act can help in giving a bit of delay to what otherwise would have been an absolute 2-year clock. So that's important to know. Now, we have been living through COVID for years, and when COVID first came out, or when it was first addressed by means of lockdowns by the government of Canada and Ontario, that was March of 2020, over 2 years ago. And as you can imagine, this was a novel scenario for all persons on the business end, but also on the legal end, as professionals, as business lawyers serving, you as business persons. And this trickled all the way up to persons making decisions in court. Courts were closed for a while, and also a regulation was passed. I'll read it off my phone because it's not the most memorable name, but Regulation 73/20 of the Emergency Management and Civil Protection Act. That regulation was passed to suspend limitations periods for what ended up being a total of 26 weeks. Now, why am I mentioning this video, in 2022, mid-2022, when this happened early 2020? Well, this is really relevant actually, because that limitations clock, that even if you had discovered it should have started back in early 2020 or mid-2020, you might still be able to take advantage of that further generosity of a 26-week suspension. To be clear, the timeline specifically that this applied to was early March. I'm just looking in my article for the exact dates. Was early March from I believe around March 16th to late September of 2020. And after that September date, the limitations, the suspension, I'm just looking for the date, September 14th of 2020 actually. March 16th, 2020 to September 14th. When this suspension was lifted, that also caused a lot of uncertainty and a lot of turmoil in the legal community, and as pertains, to us here, with the business persons that were pursuing action, that were pursuing legal action, because the big question was, once that suspension was lifted, now, if it was lifted September 14th, does somebody on September 15th that decides to pursue action then, do they lose that 26-week benefit just because they didn't just because they didn't officially launch something or seek to launch something within the official suspension period? This came before the courts in a case referred to as Attorney General for Ontario and Persons Unknown. There were a lot of people involved in this case, despite that very mysterious case title. So, Persons Unknown case. And actually, the judge in that case, Justice Myers, refused to rule on the issue in terms of providing a definitive, statement of law. However, the legal community, or at least most of the legal community, seems to lean on the side that just because that, and the case mentioned this as well, just because the suspension period, that regulation was lifted, it doesn't mean that the weight it had, the value it had during its time is now, to be deleted from memory as well, right? A regulation revoked does not make it as if that regulation was never in place. Matters happening within those relevant times are still bound by that regulation. And what this has led lawyers to believe, or what this has led many lawyers to believe, is that the limitations period, even for cases not falling between that time, so for cases falling either before March 16th or after September 14th, that those cases also can benefit or are supposed to benefit from that suspension as well. Again, that was a 26-week suspension, which is not a short amount of time when we're looking at limitations period being 2 years. 26 weeks is half a year. That is a significant addition of time. That is 25% more time to pursue your legal action, whether for whatever reason, right? Whether you finally understand, what happened to you, you've gotten a clearer understanding of just how the contract was breached, just how the goods or services were, under-delivered, or just how, money may have been stolen, whatever the case may be. This gives you extra time, and that is the most valuable grant of all, okay? And when it comes to using that time wisely, of course, here at Graphene Business Law, we're here to help you in pursuing your business matters and in advising you in pursuing legal action to the best of your interest, in a way that will be most favorable to you, of course, as our client. And this extra 26 days really is quite valuable. So important to realize, even if you knew about the limitations period prior to watching this video and you knew it to be a 2-year term, the fact there's this extra 26-week floater going around there is really valuable and can really be of assistance to you if you fall within, that time period of the early to mid 2020 dates. And I'll wrap this video up there. I won't let it go much longer. But again, big picture, with your business matters that you're pursuing, there is a limited time in which to pursue them. Usually that is called a limitations period of about of 2 years. The basic limitations period in Ontario is 2 years. With COVID being fairly recent, within recent memory for the courts and for the legal community, you might be able to benefit from an extra 26 weeks. And that matters on a community level as well. COVID times affected us not only as business owners, you watching this video as a business person, and I'm a business owner myself as well. COVID times not only affected us on the business front, they affected us for personal reasons as well, whether it be health or family, whatever the case. So there are so many more reasons why during this time you might not have pursued a matter, although you wished you had. And in case you thought it was too late, well, it might not quite be too late yet. Of course, we're not going to be able to benefit on the civil side, on the business side, from limitations periods, 5 years from now, or maybe even 1 year from now. So that window is closing as to how much longer before we can cease to see those benefits of that 26-week suspension. But it might be the case that that there's still a good chance for you to pursue something that you wish you had, and as regards a business dealing that you feel went the wrong way for you, for reasons that were not fair, for reasons that were unprincipled and legally questionable. So I'll end the video there. Thank you for watching.